Izzy, what does it mean to curate?
I think the base of curating is how we make people feel. And so you can move through impact, right? So that's why people are like, oh, do you coordinate events? Do you produce events? I go, no. I just curate. And curate says, I'm going to have a conversation with every vendor, see what they're about. I want to hear their voice. I want to do my research on them. And then I say, does my community feel safe with you? Does any person who walks in who's queer, BIPOC, rich, poor, skinny, whatever, will they find safety and comfort in these places? So curating says, I care about you, I listen to what you need, and I'm going to make sure that whatever I create provides what you need. And a lot of that times, like if you think about it, has nothing to do with money, has nothing to do with things. So I think curating is truly how we make people feel when we create.
When you create, how do you learn to be able to do it then?
Like to curate after when I'm starting to create?
Yes.
So think about it this way, right? So like say when I walked in, how we hugged, right? So some people embrace, some people do side hugs, some people like pat on the back. So when I used to do like parties in
How did we hug? I don't even remember.
We embraced.
We for real hug.
Two full hands, both of us. Right. It was a good hug.
Yeah.
So,
come on.
Yeah, all day.
Wait, a real hug.
Yeah, a real hug. I don't like being patted on the back. It just feels weird. Like people are like, okay, all done. So when I was having parties in college, I would hug everybody who came into the door. I had a small studio apartment. We felt like 50, 60 people in there. But I would hug everybody. And that would let me know how comfortable you were, not only in a new space or with people, but how you greet people is like the comfortability in yourself. Like with me, I'll walk into any room. You'll fall in love with me like that. Why? Because I feel that comfort. And I know that if I can set that tone, people can usually meet me there in their softness. So when you create, like you just have to know your why, right? Like you can't create from, I want to make money, because you can, but everyone's doing that. But if you create with, man, I really want to get all my friends together and have them have a good time and have all of these vendors that are small businesses that deserve the support, it really makes me excited because I'm like, how do I make it worth it for people with no money? It's all emotions. It's like kindness, communication, and compassion. That's all free, that people kind of make it seem like that's the most expensive part of an event. But when you build on that foundation, then you're only going to build like a stronger, right? Like anything that I do now, people will be like, oh, Izzy does care about community. Izzy does put in the effort. And so I think that's like where we get lost, is like the free aspects of things is like probably what's going to make you the most impact, So for me, it's just, I have to care about what I'm doing in order to even create, There's that connection.
Okay. So to give another C into the river of C's right now, right? Because compassion and caring and creating. Okay, you have a ton of confidence.
Yes.
And I think people get real shallow real quick when it comes to confidence.
Yeah.
But your confidence is coming from a place of care.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's coming from a place of seeing others,
right.
And you do a great job of trying to serve those that you're around.
Yeah.
With your caring and your ability to meet them where they are.
Right.
Which is what you're
beautiful.
Which is what you're talking about exactly.
Right.
Okay. How do you have that kind of confidence though? Because sometimes I think when I walk in a room or when I see somebody walk in a room, this may not be me now, but maybe used to be. Right. Or there's rooms that I would walk in that I would feel uncomfortable in.
For sure.
And then maybe I do lack a little bit of confidence. There's definitely those rooms that exist. Of course,
yeah, for sure.
Okay,
for sure.
Let's maybe we just talk about the reality of today. So when you have what helps somebody have confidence when they step into spaces?
That's a good question. I think for me, like, for an example, when I walked in and she had complimented my tattoos, when I was younger, I always like felt like outside of my skin. I never really felt like I belonged. I couldn't really figure myself out. And so as soon as I started getting tattoos, it felt like this body armor where I'm like, you can't penetrate me. Like you can't touch me. And I did that with such an aggressiveness that I said, how do I want people to come to me if I'm just like so quick to push people off because I feel like everyone's trying to hurt me? So trust comes from confidence, and confidence comes from conflict resolution. So I had to realize that like I had to fight a lot of the things that like I would assume already somebody else was feeling about me. So whenever I have this insecurity, right, like I'll come in here and I'm like, I've never met these people. I have no idea what we're going to talk about. I'm nervous. So then I hit myself with 3 facts, right? Because that's an opinion. It's a fact within yourself, but it's an opinion of like, you don't even know these people. They haven't seen you walked in. How can they form an opinion about you? So then I tell myself, 1, you have such a great community and people tell you all the time. 2, look at the things that you've done. Like you do serve others. And 3, like you come from a good place, a good home, and you put that at the forefront. Those are 3 things that I know that are a fact. So that builds me up saying, no one can shake me, because that's what I'm looking in someone else, right? I'm looking for that softness, that genuine relationship, that kindness. So if I approach everything in that, then I'm setting the tone, you know? And I think sometimes we just have to remember that like we are deserving, we are worthy, and like there are things that we know about ourselves that other people are just dying to know. Show them those. Don't show them you're scared. We're going to be scared. Being scared doesn't mean that you're in danger. It just means that you're scared. Keeps you on your toes. But like, there's no one in the world better than you. No one. And like I said earlier, I said my parents worked too damn hard for me to settle. So I go in with these things of like, there are so many beautiful things to love about me, and I just hope that you give me the opportunity to show you. But if you don't, totally okay. Because there's going to be someone else in that room who will. So don't worry about the people who make these comments or make you feel a type of way. Focus on the people who do see you, who do care about you. And there's going to be someone in every single room. I've never been in a room where somebody like did not relate to me in a slightest way. You know what I mean? Like that's the key, is like give yourself that moment to say, hey, these are 3 things that I know are true that no one can shake on me.
I love the idea of even thinking about like they just weren't ready.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, they just weren't ready for me.
Yeah.
You know, maybe I was just, you know, they just weren't ready for me yet.
Yeah.
That's okay.
And everybody's in their own time. Like you don't know what they're battling. They're probably feeling insecure too, standing in the room.
Right.
You know?
Right. And, you know, someone said this the other day. I can't remember it, but I can't remember when it was said. I just remember thinking, oh, I like that. People are thinking less about you and more about them, always.
Always.
And so,
always,
if they're not thinking about you, well, then they're stressed out about where they are or what they're going through or what they're struggling with. And it's like, oh, maybe that's how they were coming across.
It's like, what are you making it mean?
That's what, don't make it mean something more than it that you don't.
Because we really just don't know.
Oh, wow, we don't know.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm okay with not, like, I'm a forever student. I don't want to know. I don't want to be the best. I don't want to do anyone's job. I just want to be good at what I'm good at and, like, learn along the way. But you can't be so worried about what other people do, because, like, they don't even know either.
No.
You know?
You are very practical.
Yeah.
Also.
Yeah. I'm a Capricorn for sure, too. Very, like, earth sign, very grounded in that.
You are very practical. Mm-hmm. And so because of your creativity, this is the type of conversation I was hoping we were having.
Yeah.
I was actually, okay. So because you're practical and you're creative and you're thinking through the nuances of relationship and curating this space and energy,
right,
and feelings and emotions, and you want people to realize, one of my favorite things about doing that I see really in you is the intentionality.
Yeah.
Because how intentional you are in the details shows how intricately and serious you care.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where does that come from for you?
I would say, like, my mom and dad were, like, strict, but they always let me be myself. But I know what it was like to be left by friends or relationships or certain situations and be abandoned when things get hard. I knew what it was like when I was battling my sobriety from alcohol. 90% of my friends just, like, disappeared. And I'm like, damn, like, you really couldn't get anything from me. So my thought was, like, I don't have a skill set. My friend was like, dude, like, you are an artist. Like, your tongue is your paintbrush. Like, you are the talent. You are the skill. That's what your thing is. And so I said, if I have 5 minutes with somebody, how can I make them feel like they're the most important person in the world? Because that would have been so transformative for me as a kid, to feel that, like, the way that I felt may have been something that disagreed with my parents, but it was okay. I had space. That maybe I was trying to figure out myself and like who I was with my tattoos. I had the space. So if we gave people just 5 minutes of that uninterrupted like attention and intention, I think people will break down the walls faster than if we spend 6 weeks with them 15 minutes at a time. I think like we only have a certain moment for a first impression. So because I know what it's like to be outcasted, to be the underdog, to be rejected, I allow myself to say like, we're going to rewire our experience and gift everyone the opposite so that they at least know they won't feel that way with you. So if one person can do that for you, I think for me, it's like I look at myself, like when you brought the kids and they were so receptive, they want to learn about the graphic design stuff and the store and the tattoos and the clothing. I'm like, if we can have a healthy representation of something like that, then no matter who we come across with, we're going to meet them with that compassion. Yeah. And so I'm really trying to teach that because we're in a world that's so separated where I'm like, we could be so much stronger united. And so sometimes I feel like I'm the poster child for like things that might stress parents out. Like, look at my mom. My mom's so conservative. God bless her. But she sees how big of a heart I have. And so she's like, that's what leads you. People can see it in your smile. They can see it in the way you talk. And so that gift was something that I didn't really get early on. Yeah, right. So I created that gift for myself. And it shows, you know, it's how people are receptive. And
it totally shows.
You know.
So it totally shows.
I think that's where it comes from. It's just like the opposite of feeling all of those things.
Okay. Give us a masterclass then. Give us a masterclass real quick.
Mm-hmm.
A masterclass in first impressions.
First impressions.
Okay, 5 minutes. You're going to teach us on how to make the best first impression that we possibly can.
Yeah.
And we have 5 minutes to do this.
Right.
But I'm just saying and I'm going to teach you how to do it in 5 minutes to make the best first impression possible. Okay. What would you say are the staples that you work through? How would you coach that?
So the first thing I do, like when I walk into a room, is I try to find somebody who is like has something relatable, right? So I'm a words of affirmation person. So like I'll compliment the heck out of you all the time. But also I look at people who are like, it's easy to flock to people who are most like you. But I think the best thing to do is like put forth what like you're best at, right? Like a smile, going to talk to somebody. I'm very social. But if you're shy or something, go somewhere where there's an activity, right? There's food or there's a drink or somebody's there and somebody else is grabbing food. Make a comment about, oh, like, have you tried those? Or, you know, but finding a point of connection, I think, is so important the second you go places, because a lot of the times if you kind of isolate, you'll probably leave sooner, you know? But for me, my first impression is just like, what am I good at? I'm like, oh, I can smile at you. I may not know what we're talking about if we're talking about like finances and stuff, but we can relate on something. And so a lot of the times, like, instead of focusing on what separates you, find connection. Find something that makes sense, that looks familiar, that feels familiar, because more often than not, people are feeling the same way. So I would just say, like, lead with what makes you feel the best, right? Like when I beef myself up with the 3 compliments, I'm like, oh, this is why people are going to like you. But I think it really is just, it varies. I'm very social, so I'm kind of like an anomaly in it, you know? Like, it's very hard for me to go to places.
You're a blessed extrovert, that's for sure.
And it took a lot, right? Like, I'm also very shy, but I throw myself out there to get comfortable faster, you know? Mm-hmm. But I really just think it's the point of connection. Like, how can you connect to the person, to a place, to a thing in the space that makes you feel safe? It's just one thing, right? It can just be getting a cup of water and being like, okay, I've got water. There's somebody by the water. Maybe just saying, oh, I'm sorry, excuse me. Boom, a moment of conversation, you know? But don't hide away, because a lot of people are there for the first time, and everyone's nervous. I always tell myself, everyone's nervous, everyone's scared. So how can you be that softness? And if you're scared, they'll feel that too, and that's okay. You know?
I love the softness.
Yeah, the softness of it is the
most
softness.
Important. When you just say this, I feel that actually.
Yeah.
I feel like just be soft, because that also means like be calm.
Yeah.
Be relaxed. The softness of it is the intricacies of, hey, they want a friend too.
Yeah. No one's inviting you anywhere to get stressed. That's
crazy.
No one's inviting you to be like, hey, come get stressed, feel isolated and sad. Come on over. Bring your family too, you know? People want you to feel, when people are asking you to be a part of something, they're asking you to come and belong, to be in community, not just in community. So we have to just remember, like, when people are inviting us to places and stuff, they want us there, you know?
And they want you there.
Yeah.
You are wanted.
You are wanted.
You are invited. They want you to show
People
up.
could choose anyone in the world, and they chose you.
That's right. How do you know you've won?
I don't even know. This has been like a topic of conversation with my therapist the past few years. Like, what do you view as success? I'm like, I don't even know what that means. But I think just feedback, you know. I think a lot of the things that I do, I just kind of throw it onto the wall and see what sticks. But, you know, confirmation, validation, people when they say how they felt. So I just feel like my success comes from like tangibly feeling it from people. You know, like I have friends who are like, man, I didn't have any money to spend at this market, but it was so much fun, like hanging out. It was so much fun being around people. Like no one was forcing me to buy anything. So I think really my success is just letting people know like they have a space. People feeling that they belong is so important to me. People who want to continue to come back is so important to me. Yeah. And with community being so at the forefront now more than ever, I guess like my wins are just people continuously coming back and supporting me.
Like even simply maybe even continuing the conversation.
Always.
You know, it's like they just because they still talk to me, it's like, okay, good. We're going somewhere then.
Yeah. I never stop anywhere. I feel like some people get really comfortable and I'm like, how do we just take it one step further?
Oof.
How do we continue to make an impact? Because you can do the exact same stuff you do every single day, but if you do it with a little more intention, you'll absolutely make more of an impact.
Come on. Can you use even just use the story of kind of the things that you're doing right now and how those came about, if you don't mind, to help us understand that? Because I know that's true about you.
Yeah.
You know, and I know a little bit of the story, but because you have a curated space where people can purchase a variety of stuff that they're inspired by.
Yeah.
What does, like, when they do that, how does that, use that story to help us understand with that point, if you don't mind?
Like in the sense of me creating these, like me creating Casita Cutie and stuff in order to keep the conversation going and like the impact going.
Yeah, because it grew into Casita Cutie.
Yeah.
And you had to risk a lot.
I did have to risk it for the biscuit, or you'll settle for the crumbs. I'm gonna make that into a shirt. Don't steal that, okay?
No, I won't.
Or royalties. Period. I'm fine. I work together. I'm a partner. I think for me was, you know, when I went viral on social media, people would have been stoked, but then they're like, oh, Izzy, you need to make an Instagram. And then I started to do all these things that I had to do, and then I felt pigeonholed. And I'm like, the last thing I'm gonna allow is somebody to tell me who I am based off what I do or don't have or what I look like or whatever. So I spent like the better part of like the last like 8 years trying to figure out what that looked like. And I stayed in a lot of comfort. I accepted a lot of things. And so when I moved back to Denver, my friend she owned a tattoo shop and I had just moved back. I didn't have a lot of stability. And so they were like, well, come help us at the shop. Like, come help us do this. And so I started to help them. And one day I was getting tattooed and I look across the way and they're like, hey, they're going to open up that spot if you want it. And I'm like, oh, for sure. No plan in mind. No finances, no business plan, no brand, no logo, nothing. I was like, yeah, for sure. I'll open in December. That sounds great. And I'm sitting there and I'm just like, what did I just get myself into? But I'm like, man, like you've been wanting something that forces you out of your comfort zone. Because I do take a lot of risk. I'm a very adventurous, spontaneous person, but when you're playing with money and business and stuff like that, that's like a bigger game. You know, those are people who like pay to play. And so I knew that if I was going to start a business, like it was going to take everything in me. And I value my time more than anything. So because I was always willing to be this like starving artist, I thought that like it was just this inherent part of it. And I go, no, like if I don't do these like side jobs, then I don't get to travel and have all this freedom. But with all this freedom, like I wasn't getting stability or financial stability or anything. And so I battled a lot with starting Casita Cutie because I thought, oh man, having a store here is going to force me to stay here. It's going to take away my freedom. But what it really did is it gave me structure and discipline and it gave me community. And so I was saying this earlier that when it came down to paying for the rent and then the deposit and then everything else that goes into a store, because you're not even just thinking about the physical location, it's inventory, it's displays, it's marketing. I got to the point where I'm like, okay, I saved this much money, paid the rent, paid the deposit, and then I'm like, oh my God, like the best way to introduce a business, like I have to get neon signs. I'm like, where am I going to get this money? This is crazy. So I said, I'm not going to pay my apartment rent. I'm going to, like, my landlord is incredible. Shout out to Jim. But I texted him and I said, hey, can I pay you in 2 weeks? I'm having a little bit of an issue. Just need to take care of stuff. He's like, yeah, no problem. Shout out. Did that within
great ask, by the way.
Yeah, great. I mean,
it's important to ask.
Yeah, I think also you just never know. Like, people want to help you. Yeah. You know, yes, it takes money to make money and stuff, but like he was really receptive, and I appreciated that. One thing that I also do is in my apartment is I clean up trash around the area like once or twice a week, and so I asked him for like industrial sized trash bags. So I like definitely put in the effort as much as I can too outside of paying my rent.
Ooh, but that's a subtle thing that no one actually.
Yeah.
We overlook stuff like that all the time.
Yeah. Like there's trash all the time. And I hit him up one time and I said, hey, I found some stuff in the bush. I'd rather, if it's possible, can we like remove the bushes in front of my apartment? Because I feel like it's causing a lot of people just to like hang out in front of my apartment. Because my apartment faces the street. Within 2 days, all the bushes were gone. They cleaned it up. And then they've left like bigger trash cans to pick up the trash. So it's just little things where I said, these are in these things. It helps me live better, but also it helps him. So in a moment when I needed help, he was more than willing. And I was like grateful because I said the worst thing he can say is no, and then we'll pivot. But the best thing he can say is yes, and we'll still pivot, you know? So within a couple weeks, all that money came back to me tenfold. Like I always say, God's got it. That's like my mindset on everything. And people are like, it's a little naive. And I'm like, it's not, because every single thing I've gone through in life, I said, you know how they make the joke, like if you want to tell a joke, like tell God your plans. And so for me, I just tell him, I'm like, look, this is what I'm thinking. If you want to co-collab on this idea, great. If not, I will flow with whatever comes my way. And that's always the way that I've been since I was a kid. Like my parents instilled that in me. So when people are like, Jesus, take the wheel, I'm like, no, really. Like sometimes you just have to let it go, you know? So then Casita Cutie became this like thing. No one really understood what it was. And I was pitching people on it. No one really understood. They're like, you have a store? Is it like an event? Because Izzy Blaze has been a brand for 10 years, so I think people knew who I was, but they were like, what do you do outside of what you've done? So that was hard to convince people because I'm like, well, I don't know. So Casita Cutie was just like kind of like figuring it out as we went, and it was chaotic, but people started to come in. They're like, how can I be in your store? It would be such an honor to be a part of your markets. People speak so highly of you, and just getting referred to by so many people, it kind of made me realize like I have something here that I like created out of nowhere. Casita Cutie is a collection of creators and makers who said, I'm going to do it. Everybody in there is people that I know, people who created a product, a passion, something. So when you come to Casita Cutie, it's like we say, welcome home. It's for the creatives. It's for the makers. It's for the daredevils who are like, I might not pay my rent this month, but that's okay because I'm going to do this. And when you're an artist and when you're around creatives, it's a very common mindset to just risk it for the biscuit. So Casita Cutie did give me all of the stability, and it's like grown, and it's been really mentally tough. Like paying 2 rents is crazy. And the logistics part of it, it is insane. And I thought, man, I could never make it. But when I think about the starving artist that I was versus the financial stability I have now, it takes a lot, but it gives you so much more. Like waking up and knowing that I get to go and open up my store and be the first point of contact for people when it comes to Casita Cutie is like the best gift because it's free. You don't have to spend any money with me. Just come and chat with me. So Casita Cutie just, I think it like saved me from giving up. And I like literally drained everything I had left. I was at the point of like giving up, and it like saved me. So I would say there's a little Casita Cutie in all of us. Like we're home, and we're home within the community. So sometimes like it's okay to ask for help. And I think that's probably the most humbling part is I ask for help with everything in Casita Cutie, like all the displays, the fridge, like people gifted that stuff to me because they believed in it, but I had to ask for help. And it's been so humbling for people to see me in a space where they're like, you're learning, but you've done all these things. And I go, I'm just a student, you know? And so now I want to shift into helping people create those things, like giving people the whole recipe of how I did it and said, you can do it too with no money. We get so caught up on these like capitalistic views, but all you need to do is have a free conversation with somebody in the community. Somebody knows somebody. And that's what it became, is this story of like, we can all create, we can all curate, we can join together. You can ask questions, you can not know. And I think people are being more receptive to it now where I'm like, oh my God, I have a thing. Like people are like, oh, I've heard about you. I've seen you before. And I'm like, what? That's crazy. You know? And then I meet incredible people like you where I'm like, man, like, you know, there's just a call to God's got it, you know? Oh. Yeah.
Izzy, oh my gosh. Okay. So I couldn't interrupt that.
No.
Because
sorry.
no, it's okay. That was
Yeah.
please. I'm just saying I couldn't interrupt that because the completeness of the thought was so valuable for me.
Yeah.
Is because, hey, we have to do things in life that are of value, that are going to take risks.
Yeah.
But those things are actually going to keep us in the game.
Yeah.
Because what you have done is you found out so much more about you.
Yeah. This has built the most confidence. Like when I go into meetings, people literally talk to me as a business owner and I'm like, what? And it's so weird to me because like I haven't seen myself in that light until probably like a couple weeks ago. I woke up like anew, you know. Wow. Yeah.
Do you care to like, what does that mean, talk to you like a business owner versus like before? What does that look like differently? I'm just curious.
A lot of the times, like for example, I just had a meeting for this event and it's only financial sponsorships. So when I knew this event was coming up a couple months ago, I spoke to them and I said, hey, for everything that you sponsor, let's take an aspect of that sponsorship money and save it so that I can have $1,500 to sponsor this event. And so when it came time to discuss that, he was like, I'm really shocked because no one that I've partnered up with in this way like wants to invest in it like me. And I said, I'll pay to play, baby. Like even if it takes me a little time, like I'll always figure it out. But now I'm being in these conversations as a partner in this, and they're asking me questions, and they want my feedback, and they want me to take lead on things, whereas before it was like, let's just tack Izzy onto this aspect of the event. You can just do this. Or now, like, I'm curating a whole garden in a building or like a whole vendor market in a building that's owned by the city with people who are, like, doing things that they're investing money, they're investing their time and resources. And so I see the respect in, I just want you to be a part of it, to I want you to help us build this. I want your opinion. Like, what's your feedback? What do you think on this? Like, what could we do better? And I look to other people for that. So to be somebody like that just 4 months into this specific business, it just kind of makes me, that's like what I wanted, right? Is like I wanted my flowers in the sense of like, put me in the conversations, not in the end result. I want to do the work. I don't just want to be at the party. I want to be in logistics. I want to be in operations. I want to know what I'm supporting so that when people ask me, I can deliver that information clearly. You know, I think a lot of people are okay with just tagging onto events and just being on the flyer. And I'm like, no. I need to know, like, what is my name doing? Like, what are we doing here? And that's something that I couldn't do with my brand Izzy Blaze, but with Casita Cutie, I can. So I think I'm respecting my decisions and my money and where I put my energy via Casita Cutie, and that's like my alter ego, right? She's the part of me that does everything that I normally wouldn't do, you know. So to be considered a business, I was like, I want to invest my money into this event, not because you've invested mine, but because I see the value in your event, and then I want to partner up with you on these aspects, and I will pay for that, and I will dedicate my time and resources, rather than people being like, okay, Izzy, like this is your budget. I'm like, no, I don't need a budget. Let me figure out how to do this myself, you know. And I think that's where the respect comes from, is people are like, oh, you really don't need anything from us. I'm like, no. I just need the okay. And I think that's a business owner, right? They're taking you into consideration. They're not just like including you. And I feel like that's something that I've needed for myself in a long time, is like to have the respect for myself, to be able to have those kind of conversations.
Did you have to earn the respect for yourself?
Yeah, I definitely think so.
Yeah. I mean,
think about it.
I think you're
like,
right.
I think in a lot of rooms, I'm like the only person who looks like this. I'm often the only person of color, maybe the only queer person, woman with short hair. You know, I think that we have a lot of things in society that dictate our value for some weird reason, because I believe that, like, your value is your birthright. Like, you're existing is great. Like, that's more than enough. But I think sometimes people don't take me seriously, maybe because of the work that I've done in the past or how relaxed I am. But like, what you see is what you get. I type how I talk. I text how I talk. I send emails the same way. I do phone calls. Like, I don't switch it up, because if you think that I lack professionalism because I'm consistent, then I can't fulfill a facade, you know? And so I think that's something that I'm learning too, is like, in some spaces I've had to demand respect, whereas now I feel like people are like, oh, I see what you're doing, I get it. And maybe that's based off just what other people value as like respect, but overall for me it was just like making sure like this is who I am. It's either like it's a yes or a no. And I really just don't, I don't beg or chase. I do believe that like you'll always find your people. So don't ever force it. I always flow. Like if you want to treat me a certain way, cool. It's going to suck for you because a lot of people like me. And if you don't like me, my friends might not like you. And I got a lot of friends. So it sounds like a win-win for me, but a lose-lose for you. So I really always try to find common ground with everybody. Yeah. And I don't force myself on anybody. Like, you either vibe with me or not, and it's okay either way. You know, like you're not going to be for everybody, but I really do try to be someone for everyone if I can, you know?
Well, so, like, respecting yourself comes from sometimes it comes from a body of work of I'm being true. Yeah. You know, I'm being honest.
Yeah.
You know, and I think I just love that because, you know, if we have a foundation of honesty and we stand for something or we stand here in this position, well, then you can see me in that position and you can respect me for who I am and where I am. And that's honorable. Yeah. Someone that's difficult to respect is somebody that doesn't stand anywhere. Right. That's a tough person to respect
because you never know where they're going to flow.
And they don't have a ton of respect for themselves. Right. To actually stand. Yeah. In a space, and I think that is such a valuable thing because you have a body of work of I've done this, and now I'm gonna keep doing this, and now I'm gonna take that next step. Did you have to be a business owner in your mind before you got treated as a business owner?
I think one of the things that we might struggle with in society, right? Like if you met me and I was like a librarian for 15 years and then the next day I said, you know what, Trevor, I'm actually going to go lead a circus for the next 5 years with Cirque du Soleil. You'd be like, well, but you've always done this. We naturally want to marginalize our experiences no matter what everybody else is giving us. And it kind of screws us up in a little way because like one, we keep ourselves in the same space, but other people also keep us in the same space. So I feel like we have to allow ourselves to change, and part of that is letting other people receive your change. And that's really hard because you do have to force sometimes people to be like, hey, take me seriously. Like I do know what I'm doing. And so I do feel like I got respect in the beginning. I think it teetered the line of like, are people just being nice to me because of who I am and what they can get from me and they want to be on my good side? Sure. Or are they respecting me because like they see what I'm doing free of charge? Like they see the passion, they feel what I'm doing. So I think in a way I did have to become a business owner in some aspects for certain people in my life. But in other ways, like I've always been pretty true to myself with Izzy Blaze. That was like me to the T. That's when I really realized it doesn't matter what you do, people are going to support you. So that personal brand did give me that respect, but I really feel like when it came to being parts of bigger conversations in bigger ways, I did have to like in a way have something to show for it in that way, which was uncomfortable, but also it's like I don't want to have $5 conversations, baby. I want to have $2,000 conversations. I want to have $10,000 conversations. And the only way we can do that is if like we allow ourselves to change our environment and then other people allow us to change within their environment too, you know?
Yeah. Well, yes, because, and I think that is true because you have to have a different mindset and skill set to be able to save up to have $10,000 in your bank account so you can have $2,000, cash in on $2,000 conversations.
We have to mentally and physically move differently.
Yes, and your ability to have that conversation has to be there as well.
Yeah, because when you were saying earlier about honesty, I think the cherry on top is also transparency. Yes. Right? Because that's another level of vulnerability of me saying, hey, I'd love to partner up with this, but I'm just not, as a small business, I'm not 100% sure if I can do this, but let's see what I can do. That doesn't mean it's a no, it means it's a yes. And telling people, like people think Casita Cutie is like rolling in the money, which is like fire. She's an expensive cutie. At the same time, we're building a business off of something and I have an expensive creative mind. So my branding, everything just becomes a little bit more, but I have to tell people, hey, this is my strength. This is what I can offer. This is what I can do. Let's see where you're at. And that's where the transparency come from. I can just say, honestly, I just don't have the money. No. But transparency says, let me humanize this experience so you see where I'm coming from. Maybe you've been there before, and maybe we can meet each other in a different space if you fully know maybe more of the whole story. Because we kind of run with stuff sometimes, and people are like, oh, well, you're broke. And I'm like, well, that's not necessarily true. But if I paid my vendors and I paid my rent and then I paid my other rent, like, it would make sense that I can't give you $5,000 today. Yeah. But maybe I could give you $1,000 if we budget it and we talk about it. But we have to be able to meet people on a more honest ground. I don't think people always assume everybody has everything they need. And we can't tell people, we can't treat people based off what they do or don't have. We have to figure out, like, think about the barter system back in the day. They didn't care how much money you had. They were like, oh, you have 3 fish? I'll trade you 16 fish for a cow. I don't know. But I'm okay with that. Like, I do a lot of work for free. Like, one of my friends just takes me out to eat once a week, and I help him with business stuff all the time. And I'm like, but I eat good food, so he's like, I know what I'm in for. But it's not bad, right? It's, I'll give you all my time. You just got to feed me.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with that, too. I'm not, like, stuck on things, you know?
That's so funny. I love that. Let's barter. Let's trade.
I'm down for barter. If that's what it makes it possible for us to work together, like, isn't that the point? If it was transactional, then let me just sign a check and let's call it a day. But if we're having a conversation and you want me to be a part of this, like, let's figure out how to actually make it work. You know, it's not black and white.
Yeah, a little bit more coalition, and you used the word collaboration earlier. It's like, it's defining that of, like, it's not figuring out why we shouldn't go together. Yeah. It's finding out and figuring out together how we can stay together and go together. Yeah. And man. And then it's like, let's remove the limitations and the boundaries that we feel like we have to have. Yeah. And then let's focus on what we can have.
I feel like sometimes we get so rigid from a scarcity mindset or like a lack mindset. But like, everybody's in those positions. If you have thousands and millions of dollars, you're still lacking something. So like, let's not put people on a pedestal for things that like we're lacking. Right. You know, maybe we don't have it, but we might just not have it right now. I mean, we're not going to have it. I think sometimes we allow ourselves to be blocked in that like mental space, you know? Yeah. And I think like that's probably what changes probably in the line of work that you do too, right? Like your purpose is also letting people know they belong and why they belong and that they do have a space. You know, so a lot of the times we let like these like rigid exterior, you know, like things keep us from connecting with people. Yeah. Or trying to find a way to work. Maybe we won't work together this year, but maybe in 3 years you're like, Izzy. Sure. So it's like sometimes I think we're too quick on instant gratification of the short-term goal, but it's okay to lay the seeds and let it grow. It doesn't have to be right now. Everything doesn't have to be right now. Like we should be planting seeds for the future. There should be tons of people you can't work with right now.
And because your time is limited.
Yeah,
you
like
can't
you're
work with
one
everyone
person.
Right now.
And we also don't need to have so much accessibility to people and things. Like, it's okay. Yeah. Like, it's totally okay to not have social media. It's okay to not go out every weekend. It's okay not to have a huge network. Like, you don't have to do all these things, you know? And so I think we get stuck in those spaces.
Okay, so as you think about, you've had a long, really, it's like you've been doing this for a while now.
Yeah, in its own way.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and then you've been kind of, you know, curating this life that you live even. Yeah. Like putting things together and figuring out how to not quit and keep going and work through. And you've got some vision, and you've got vision that keeps bubbling up and it kind of overflows. Yeah. And you're like, I don't know if, you know, all the different things. But what would you say is like a really key element or principle that you've learned along the way that allows you to keep creating?
You got to love it. And by that, I mean, like, you have to be willing to do it for free. You have to be willing to do it if people tell you no. You have to be willing to do it if you don't have money, if you don't have that. Like, you have to keep willing to do it, and you have to do it for free. And if you're not in love with it, like, it's an F yes or an F no. And, like, when I tell people all the time, they're like, oh, aren't you exhausted? You're always working. But I love it. And I know that I have to do this in order for the long term. So, like, if you're not willing to do it for free and you really do not love it, don't do it. Because you're going to waste resources, energy, and your purpose on things that are only going to take away. And that might be the one thing that discourages you, and you'll never go back to wanting to create again. I see it all the time in friends. I see it all the time in people. Like, do it for free and do it because you love it.
What's the one question we should be asking to know if we love it or not?
Would I be willing to lose sleep over it? Because if you can sleep on your dreams, if you can just be like, oh, it's tomorrow's problem, I don't know if it's 100% for you. Obviously, like, you can sleep on things and stuff, but you really have to think about it. Like, I can't open the store and be passionate one day and then hate it the next day. Like, I have to be willing to lose sleep over it. I'll make banners. I don't even know how to do graphic design. I've been like YouTube University, babe. Like, I don't know how to do any of it, but I'll stay up late to just try to figure out one little thing. But if you won't lose sleep over it, it might not be for you. And that's a hard commitment to make. It is. It's a hard commitment to make.
You know, I would even call that conviction.
Conviction, 100%.
Are you so convinced of it that you would never be willing to be paid to do it?
Yeah.
And you would maybe even lay down your life for it?
Yeah. Like, do you stand 10 toes down on it?
I was hoping we would get back there.
So it is. It's conviction. Like, you have to love it.
So convinced of it.
Yeah.
That you'd give your life for it.
Yeah.
And never get paid.
Because you have to think about it. People are always going to have their opinions. One bad Google review will send me into a spiral. Sure. I'm like, oh, my God. But at the same time, I'm like, you have to think about, like, the majority. Like, would you do it for free? And
in some ways, if you don't get a bad Google review, you're probably not doing something that's provoking enough or that you're even passionate about, because there's not – because people won't – if there's nothing cared in that space, if you don't care, then you're not giving space for people to have the opposite, to not care.
Right.
But if you stay in that middle space of comfortability, and I don't want to stand – I don't want to go 10 toes. I'll go 6. And then I'm just like, Yeah. And it's like, well, then people are going to be wishy-washy about you too.
Yeah. And the thing is like, in my mindset with Casita Cutie, I said, I welcome everybody, but I'm not here to please anybody. You're more than welcome to walk through. You don't have to spend money. You don't have to give me feedback. It doesn't have to be for you. You may not agree with it, you know. I'm sure there's products in my store that some people don't feel like need to be in there. And I'm like, good thing my business is not built off of your opinions. My business is built off facts of, like, I know what people like. I look at the market. I look at the space where I'm at, the affordability. Like, you know, it's more of, like, sometimes we have to take away all these, like, emotional attachments to things when we take things so personal, you know? But it is, like, you can welcome everybody, but you're not going to be for everybody, and that's okay.
Yeah. Well, and if you're principle-based, it's not personal.
It's not.
I have some principles.
Yeah.
And guess what? Those aren't personal, but I'm going to make my decisions in my life based off of those things.
Right. I'm a value-based person. Everything that I do is, like, integrity first, because it's free. And I have to face myself at the end of the day.
You do, don't you?
Like, fulfilling somebody else's prophecy, whatever that is just, it's gut-wrenching for me. Yeah.
And my goodness. And then you don't even know who you are at the end of the day.
No, because people, sometimes business will have you bending your rules and boundaries for a quick buck. And I'm like, I've seen myself do that in my personal brand, and I said, you just can't do that with the business. No. You know, you just can't. And so, like, it is really important to stay within your integrity, like, when no one's watching. Gosh. And that's hard.
Izzy, we could talk the rest of the day.
Yeah, no, this has been incredible.
Oh my gosh. So fun.
Yeah, thank you for chatting with me.
Aaron's behind the camera, everyone, and Aaron's like just smiling the whole time, just like amped on everything you're saying. So, Izzy, I'm so blessed to have you come into my life and for me to come into yours.
Yeah, the feeling's mutual.
And I'm excited to just see where the journey takes us, the journey takes you.
Yeah.
And just I'm inspired even just to create better, to create with more intention.
Yeah.
Not for the outcome, but for the opportunity that is just the joy of it.
Yeah.
The creating process.
Mm-hmm.
And so thank you so much.
No, thank you for having me. Your time is the most valuable currency. So I appreciate you sharing a little bit of that with me.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Again, just so blessed by this. And if you want to be inspired, if anyone wants to be inspired by you or they want to come check out the shop,
yeah,
they want to connect with what you're doing, do you care to just really quick give all the spots?
Yeah, so Casita Cutie is at Casita Cutie on Instagram. And then my personal is Izzy_Blaze with 2 E's on Instagram as well. That's the easiest way to get a hold of me. Or you can just physically pop up at the shop. I'm there Tuesday through Sunday, like 10:30 to 6.
So good. Please check out the shop. It is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to. There was a few pieces I saw, a few T-shirts the other day that I was like, I gotta pull the trigger on. So
yeah, come on over, Red Rover.
I know,
yeah, come on over.
Appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
Full Vantage Podcast. She has been one of the people that I've been wanting to talk to and learn from, and you're getting to experience that next step, just even in our relationship. Yeah. So be inspired to do that with somebody else.
Yeah, have a conversation.
That 5 minutes. Use the master class. She's a master at first impressions. Take it into consideration. With the job, with the relationship, with the friend,
anything,
with life, and be inspired for the first 5 you can get with somebody. So again, thank you.
Thank
See you guys later.